Hi, thanks for tuning in to Street Life. I'm Natasha. Today I am back with a recipe for a healthier version of gyros. This is made with turkey rather than lamb, making it less expensive and arguably more healthy. I'm also going to make a few swaps that allow you to cut down on carbs without cutting flavor. So my healthy version of the gyro uses these flat out flatbreads as an alternative to pita bread, which allows you to cut down on carbs. In addition, I serve it with a nice non-dairy Tzatziki sauce where you don't miss any of the flavor. It's just non-dairy in the event that you're lactose intolerant or have dairy allergies, and it comes together in about 5 minutes. And a nice little side salad, which is a tomato and cucumber side salad. Sort of similar to a Greek salad, but not quite. A few little swaps and also no dairy in that as well.
Okay, and so now we are going to start making our turkey gyros, right? So here I have a bowl. This is about 1 1/4 pounds of ground turkey. And this is actually quite lean. It's 93% lean, 7% fat. So from here, we're now going to season this up, right? So our seasonings are 1/2 teaspoon of paprika, a teaspoon of black pepper, a teaspoon of adobo, but you can use whatever seasoning salt you'd like, or just regular salt. This is 1/2 teaspoon of chili powder, and I really add that just enough for, not so much for the spice, but for like the smoky flavor that it'll give. This is 1 1/2 teaspoons of garlic powder, 1 1/2 teaspoons of onion powder, 1 1/2 teaspoons of dried thyme, 1 1/2 teaspoons of dried oregano, 1/2 teaspoon of allspice, and 1/2 teaspoon of cumin. All right. And these spices we are going to just go on ahead and add to our turkey. This is a 1/2 cup of breadcrumbs, 1 egg, and it's the whole egg, the yolk and the whites. That's gonna, between the breadcrumbs and the egg, that's gonna help it to hold together so like it doesn't fall apart, because we won't be able to slice this. 3 tablespoons of blended seasoning, bowl that goes, and that's just really aromatic, so some onion, garlic, scallion. With the spices, it'll help a little bit with the color, but to give it an even nicer brown color, I'm gonna go ahead and add about a teaspoon or so of Jamaican browning, which is just like caramel. It'll just help to give it a nice color. It's not gonna really affect the flavor, it's just to give it a nice brown color. And I'm now gonna mix this together, taking the time to like get everything like really nice and well incorporated. And there we go. And this now, I have a baking pan that I've lined with foil and greased with a little bit of oil. And I'm now gonna put our turkey into this. Okay. I'm just gonna kind of spread it out to get it a bit even. I'm gonna cover this piece of foil and put it into the oven. The reason being, I want to kind of trap in some of that moisture. So, into the oven this goes. Now then, out of the oven. So I just took this out of the oven and it's pretty much cooked. But I want to actually put it back into the oven uncovered for a bit, just so like it crisps up a little bit, if you think of like how gyro meat is. But because it's like really, really hot right now, I feel like if I cut it, it's just going to fall apart and all of the juices are going to run out. So I'm going to leave it to sit for a little while, let it cool a little bit. Alright, so now then, here we have our turkey meat, which I've allowed to cool and just flipped out of the pan. And so now I'm going to cut this into pieces. And this I'm going to grease with just a little bit of oil. And now then the pieces that I sliced, I'm just going to take and I'm just going to put them in there. Just kind of lay them out. And they're not really going in for a long amount of time. It's just to help them like crisp up a little bit. So now then, this is the second half of our turkey gyros out of the oven after broiling for a bit. You can see like the top of it is just a little bit crisp, so you got some nice little crisp edges. The downside is still moist, so the inside of this is going to be nice and moist. The outside is going to have like a slight little, not exactly a crunch, but a little crispiness to it, sort of similar to what you might get when you order a gyro at a restaurant, right? So good to go for our tomato cucumber salad. The first thing we're going to do is, I have here 2 English cucumbers, and I've just started cutting them into pieces to make them a little bit more manageable. I'm just going to cut this into cubes. If you wanted to, you could slice these, but I'm going to do cubes just because I think they're easier to cut. And I feel like it's easier to also get them to be roughly about the same size. And now here I've got roughly 12 ounces or so of grape tomatoes. And the reason I'm using grape tomatoes rather than like regular full-size tomatoes is that I find these tend to be a bit more sweet, less acidic. And so just cutting them into quarters so that they're roughly about the same size as the cucumbers. If you wanted, you could like make it easy on yourself and leave them whole, but I feel like this way, like they'll give off some juices, especially once you add salt and whatnot to them. If you leave them whole, like I feel like they won't absorb as much of the flavor. Not to say that I never use anything else, but when it comes to like salads, especially in dishes where I'm not going to be cooking the tomato, then I'll go ahead and I'll use these tomatoes instead. And I have here like this is a 6-ounce can of medium black olives, well, pitted medium black olives, and all I did was I just went through and cut them in half. And I'm going to add this to our bowl with our cucumbers and tomatoes. Here I have some purple onions that I've just really diced quite small, and I'm going to add that. This is just half of a purple onion, like a fair size purple onion. So you can do like a small purple onion or half of like a medium to large size one. This is half of like a fair size, like a large one. And that I'm going to add to the bowl as well. Before we add anything else, I'm just going to take a little spoon and give this a quick little toss. Rice vinegar. It's a quarter cup of canola oil, a quarter cup of olive oil, right? So I just squeezed the lemon, cut it in half, squeezed the lemon in, added it to there. And to this, I'm going to add some salt and black pepper. A teaspoon of salt with some black pepper. A little toss. I'm going to grab a spoon and give it a taste. You can taste the vinegar and the lemon juice gives it like a nice little flavor, but I feel like it needs a little bit more salt, a little bit more pepper, and with that we'll be fine. Everything tastes nice and fresh, it's nice and light. Great for the summertime. If you wanted, you're a good way towards a Greek salad. You can just go ahead and add a little bit of feta, but I'm actually going to leave that out. I'm going to add a bit more salt. It's not overly salty or anything like that. The vegetables are really nice and bright. The flavor is great. So, nice, like, refreshing salad. And I feel like you let this sit for at least a few hours or so, it'll just soak up more of that flavor, right? The vegetables will give off some of their liquid because they now have salt in them. And so you just let it sit, and when you're ready to eat, you just give it a nice little blending, and the flavor is going to be incredible. This here is an English cucumber, right? A whole one. And this is actually what the inside of it looks like. As you can see, compared to like a regular cucumber, it's longer in size, a little bit thinner. But when you cut inside, this is one of the major differences. You notice that like it has less seeds inside, and it doesn't have those white seeds that you see in your standard cucumber. And so I like it when I'm making salads and things like that, where I don't want it to contribute too much liquid to whatever I'm making. I've actually just finished in the food processor shredding about 2/3 of one of those cucumbers, and this is what I'm going to use to make my tzatziki sauce, right? But I'm going to do this in advance because I want to get some of the liquid out of this. Just a little bowl and a strainer, which I am going to line with a cloth. And so I've just lined this with a cloth, and I'm going to put the cucumber in. And basically this is so that we can get liquid out of it. To this I'm going to add just a little bit of salt because that's going to help to draw out some of the liquid, which I'm going to sprinkle over. And so I'm just going to leave this in the fridge overnight, and you can see already like some of the liquid has started dripping through. And so this will help to get even more of the liquid out of the cucumber. Okay, so now for our tzatziki sauce, here I have my cucumber, and because I'm trying to do non-dairy, I am not going to use Greek yogurt. You can if you'd like. But here I have some plant-based, like non-dairy sour cream. Sour cream is actually quite similar, at least to me, in flavor to Greek yogurt. So this is non-dairy sour cream, so I'm using that. And this is just like the juice of half a lemon. Half a tablespoon of extra virgin olive oil. A tablespoon of minced garlic, a bit of dill, some salt, black pepper, and I'm just going to mix this together. And actually, I'm going to go ahead and just use all of the sour cream. Just mix that all together. Thanks for tuning in. To ensure you don't miss any episodes, subscribe to the channel, click the notification bell, and check out my cooking at home playlist. Go ahead and click that thumbs up button if you like what you saw, and go ahead and share it on social media.